Being financially literate or financially educated is defined as having the ability to master and use various financial skills. Some of these skills include personal management, budgeting, and investing. Obviously, these skills are fundamental in life. It doesn't matter if you're a world-class entrepreneur or an employee, you still need to get your finances right. The thing is, most people do not know what is going on with their finances. They don't know how much they spend on groceries every month, how much they could save if they were more disciplined, and they hardly understand taxes. This dangerous behavior comes from a lack of understanding of the basic principles of money and the modern economy. Not knowing why some things happen and how to get and save money will ruin one's financial life. In this video, I'm going to tell you true stories from my experience as a copywriter and business owner, and I'm also going to give you some of the most important principles of financial literacy. Back when I just started making some money online with copywriting, I remember sitting down with a friend of mine that was way ahead of me. He wasn't a writer, he was a social media manager. We did share some skills, but our jobs were very different. He was helping local businesses like restaurants and gyms manage their social media, and he also took care of the content. Everything from videos to pictures, he was helping them create that and post it on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on. I was at the beginning of my copywriting career, and I was making about $500 per week. My job was to help businesses sell more with compelling and persuasive copy. I would write anything from sales scripts to emails, and from website copy to sales pages. We were hanging out together, and we started talking about money. At a certain point, he asked me how much I was spending on rent. At the time, I wasn't 18 yet, so I was living with my parents, and I used to pay rent for them. I told him that we were paying about $700 a month. Then he started asking me hard questions. How much are you spending on nights out? What percentage are you investing? How much of that will be subject to tax? How much are you saving, and what are you saving for? I wasn't really ready to answer any of these questions. I just realized that I had no idea what I was doing with my money. This guy wasn't a mentor to me or anything like that, but he made a lot of money, and he was way ahead of me in business, so I really respected his opinion. He finally asked me, how are you supposed to make more money if you don't know how to control it? What he said hit me hard, and it left me seriously pondering. What I quickly realized was that I lacked a strategy, a game plan, and a deeper understanding of how money moves and why it always moves towards the rich. So, my goal today is to give you some of these answers and motivate you to go deeper and create a strategy for your money so that you can make more of it. Make sense? Good. But before we get into it, give this video a thumbs up for that YouTube algorithm. And now, let's get into it. Understand the fear. Why can't people answer simple questions like, how much are you spending on groceries every month? Or how much are you spending every time you go out with your friends? The thing is, we as humans have a tendency to avoid the truth if it hurts us in any way. Here's a quick example. When you're out with your friends and you see them spending money, you also feel the urge to do the same thing, even though you know it's not a good idea. But you ignore it and spend away anyways, totally oblivious of the budget you had. And when the time comes to account for how much you've spent, you start getting cold feet, afraid to find out how big that number is. This fear is justified. If you calculate the percentage of your income that's being wasted on secondary needs, you'll be staggered. But at the end of the day, it's better to face your problems and take care of them, instead of pretending they aren't there. So before you start creating an action plan for your finances, analyze your habits and find out where it's all going. How money is made in the current economy. The principles of money that are true today weren't necessarily true centuries and even decades ago. In fact, some of them might even be false in some countries today. That's because these principles depend on the current economy and its state. 1. Why money goes to the rich. Money sticks to these patterns, and it isn't about luck. Money isn't made by luck, except for rare cases like the lottery. There are formulas, and if you do certain things in a certain manner, you'll get money. There are two main reasons why the rich get richer and the poor struggle to double their minimum wage income. Reason number 1, the rich know how to make it. 88% of millionaires are self-made. This means that only 12% of them inherited their wealth. These millionaires have figured out how to make money, and then they do it again and again and again until they reach their first million, their second million, and so on. There are many industries where you can make millions. Actually, almost any industry could potentially make you a millionaire as long as you play to win. Initially, you'll make countless mistakes, but then, eventually, you'll figure it out. And all you'll need to do is repeat your success, and you'll win the money game. This is the reason why net worth grows exponentially. It means that the curve isn't straight. Instead, it grows faster and faster. There's a point in the career of successful people when they've experienced massive amounts of success, and that's when the curve really grows quickly. That moment right there is when they've figured out the formula to success. Reason number 2, why money goes to the rich. Money attracts money, and it has momentum effect. Let me explain. This principle is more abstract, but you can probably relate to it. Put simply, the more money you have, the more money you make. That's why you see people on social media talking about the importance of how much money you keep over how much money you make or spend. You see, it doesn't matter if you're making 15 grand a month. If half of that is gone in taxes and the rest is gone in lifestyle, you're not going to experience any growth. Have you ever saved a decent amount of money? Maybe it was for investment, maybe a new car, or the down payment for the purchase of a house. The point is, you probably noticed that the more you had in the bank, the more you would actually save. This happens because having money builds confidence and discipline. When you already have a bunch of cash waiting for you in the bank, you've generated momentum. This is very important, but remember, whenever you lose momentum, you have to generate it again from nothing. If you had $15,000 in the bank, but you've spent it on a down payment, now you're starting all over again from net zero. 2. The market decides your worth. In economics, the market is like a superior entity that you can't go against. It's the collective opinions of the side of demand and the side of supply. There's a delicate balance between demand and supply, and if it isn't met, something is wrong. Here's a quick example. Let's imagine that you just started your online business, and you're selling ebooks on how to cook Italian food. The book is a good one, but how do you decide how good it really is? In economics, everything is measured using money. So we're going to measure the worth of your book in dollars. But how many dollars? That's when the market comes in. Let's pretend that you price your ebook at $20 per copy. However, no one buys your book. That might be an indicator that the book has been overpriced, and to get some clients, you should bring the price down. The point where you can sell the maximum amount of books for the maximum price is the balance point between demand and supply, and that's the real worth of your book. In order to raise the price, you need to also raise the value of the book, which is determined by the number of problems that the book solves. Lawyers and accountants are usually paid a lot of money because they solve very difficult problems, while a simple product like a soda can be easily replaced and doesn't solve a big problem. You as a human being are the same. You are paid in direct proportion to the amount and the gravity of the problems that you solve. That's why copywriters are usually paid a lot of money. They solve the serious problem of not being able to sell through written content. I want you to really remember this because it could potentially save you a lot of money and time in the future, especially if you're planning to become an entrepreneur or a freelancer. To make more money, you need to bring more value to the table, and value is determined by the number and gravity of the problems you solve. Where should you start? Now you know the most basic principles of making money. How to reach the perfect balance between demand and supply, and how and why money moves. But I want you to get more out of this. I want to actually help you change your financial life. So here's exactly where you should get started. Many try to apply fixed rules to personal finance, like the 50-20-30 rule. This rule states that 50% of your after-tax income should go to basic needs, such as rent, food, and bills. 20% should go into your savings account, or paying off debt, and 30% is for you to spend on whatever you like, basically money you can enjoy. This is a great little budgeting rule, but I don't believe everyone can apply it to their life. There are things that are very subjective, like different countries, different states, different economies, different life situations, and so much more. You can't just apply that rule out of nowhere, but here's something that might help. Step 1. Know what is up. The first step is to analyze your last 3 months and figure out what you've been up to with your money. If you have a fixed income, it'll be easy to figure out the percentages, but you can also do that if you're self-employed or have a business. This isn't a quick task. It'll take you some time. If you can't find information on where your money's gone in the last 90 days, then you can also analyze your next 3 months and then go to step number 2. Ideally, you need to classify your spending into 4 categories. Needs, for example, shelter, food, and health. Wants, any secondary need that you can live without as a want. Saving, investing. Step 2. Change your habits. Now that you know where your money's gone, you need to manage it better. Decide what percentage of your money should go where, and be as disciplined as you can with it. Saving has to be fixed, and ideally, you also need an emergency fund for at least 6 months of rainy days. If you don't have an emergency fund, use the savings from the first months to build that, and then save for whatever you like. The investing bucket is up to you. You could invest in the stock market with as little as $100 a month, just to build the habit and the skills, or save money to invest in a business or real estate. It really is your choice. And that's it. Now, I know this might seem too simple. That's the point. If your financial management strategy is too complicated, you won't use it, and it'll be counterproductive. Negative management of your money could even make you lose money. So, keep it simple. If you learned something today, please subscribe to our channel right now. We at Practical Wisdom focus on bringing valuable content on personal finance, self-improvement, entrepreneurship, business, and so much more. You don't want to miss out. The money is out there. All you need to do is learn how to get it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed or found value in the video, do give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe for more content like this. With that said, have a great day, you guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.